Everybody welcome to the stage, Andre Perry.
Thank you. This is an excerpt from said book about misadventures. It has nothing to do with playing music, but actually the singing of said music. Gavin had tickets to see a New York buzz band called the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, but now I had his tickets because he couldn't make it after all. I was sitting in a dusty bar on Polk Street. It was called Annie's, I think. I was already drunk, and I was playing the piano in the corner of the bar. Justin was beside me clapping along. It was an old wooden upright and made no sense being in this bar. Everyone at the bar must have hated us. We were there with a large group, one of Justin's roommates, a girl I knew, Gavin's girlfriend, a couple of other guys who had tagged along. Justin's roommate was wearing a polo shirt with some bright, blinding color like hot pink or cosmic orange. The locals at the bar were ragged, wearing oversized flannel shirts and jeans with stains burned into the pants legs. They were drinking basic bourbons, whatever they could get for $2 or $3. Our joke was their reality, but I took it very seriously, or at least part of me did. I liked being in that kind of bar, with its dull grayish-blue glow. The bartender was an older and beautiful blonde, but you could see a different life in her eyes. Different from us kids pillaging her customers' privacy for a bit of kitsch drinking before a rock show. She liked us nonetheless. We were business and she knew she'd make more in that hour than the rest of the night, unless another group of ours happened to stumble in there for a little bit of clankety-clank on the piano and a few rounds of shots. We were sightseeing our way down the odd Venn diagram of Polk Street. Further north, the neighborhood was preppy and expensive, and down south it was a dump. But there was this beautiful mound of crossover between collegiate and crack, between hipsters and whores, between men trying to be men and men trying to be women. The sidewalks of Polk Street were dirty, just like the men's jeans at the bar. They had stains on them, but they weren't going to wash off, stains that were just as much character as they were dirt. I kicked back from the piano and stood up. I looked around at our crews scattered about the oval-shaped bar, clustered together in small groups in between the old, weathered men who wanted nothing to do with our noise. "Let's go," I barked. We popped out of the doorway onto the filthy streets. In either direction there were the hookers and the post-collegiate frat boys. The sex-charged boys were bouncing around in front of a place called a Crowbar, which was ironic because that sounded like the name of a gay bar. And the tranny hookers were setting up shop all the way down South Polk. We were bar hopping to this concert. Drinks would be overpriced at the Great American, and we could take shots and beers at cheaper bars on our way there. So we turned into some sort of grotesque tourist group. We were a gentrification scout team, pushing around the corners in search of hidden treasures, in search of some place that was new. And that's how it happened. We would come to this bar and love it. We would tell our friends would come, then their friends would come, and slowly not only the bar but the entire block would become more popular, more of a place that people decided to check out on a Friday night. The smokers and drinkers at the nearby Hemlock would break out of their comfort zone and dip their feet into Annie's for a little while. And Annie's might enjoy the business for some uncertain amount of time, until someone with investment money saw the potential and decided to buy the place up and build something like a karaoke bar. That's how it would unfold. And it's true, Annie's or whatever it was called is no longer there. Someone turned it into a sushi joint, and its old clientele were ushered away, swept onto the street like dust or crumpled up cocktail napkins. Yes, we were doing our part to kill a neighborhood. But anyway, the Yeah Yeah Yeahs were playing a few blocks away in Geary. The Great American was next to some big flashy strip club, and that place with men in suits walking in and out of there all day long didn't look like it was going to get bought anytime soon. We were on the verge of blacking out upon entering. We walked to the front of the room and we looked like trash. Our collective hair ran disheveled across our foreheads. Our pores stunk of foul shots, and we were all smiling maniacally. Such posturing seemed appropriate. After all, it was the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, a band from the East that wanted to epitomize the intersection of trash and art. Yet another Venn diagram. The singer, who's known only as Karen O, corked her way around the stage, moving from side to side as her accomplices, a drummer and a guitarist, banged away with virtuosity and control. Karen's eyes were craters of blissed out glam makeup. We were meant to see her as hi-fi trash queen. Her dress was too sloppy though, a cheap thin black veil strewn about her like a cigarette dangling from a hooker's lips. There was no fashion to it. It sat upon her like a makeshift bogus cape that one puts on as a last-minute Halloween stunt. She was the sound of disaffection in art, disaffected because life in Brooklyn was just fine after all. There were coffee shops, there were Indian restaurants, there were big thinkers with college degrees. It was art because she had nothing to rally against, and she needed some high concept to invoke this sense of rebellion. 3,000 miles away, the blood of Williamsburg was beginning to boil. It was a hot spot, and here before us were among the first and most daring artists to represent that fertile strip of land just across from Lower East Manhattan. Oh, precious art stars. The crowd was boring as ever, and Karen couldn't just shout her weight out of that malaise. Her sidekicks splashed around as if they were in some different place, as if they were at a private jam session indulging in rhythm and guitar freakouts only meant for their own ears. It was a sold-out show, but still the people were unfanatical, or horribly still in their unfanatical states. arms crossed, beards scruffy and thin-rimmed, glasses pushed up to the bridges of their noses. These San Franciscans with their solid black hoodies and biker backpacks strung across their shoulders had come to study the Yeah Yeah Yeahs, like textbooks they had pored over in college. Or worse, they were watching the band like art that is only seen under cultural obligation, not because one really wants to be in a museum on a Saturday afternoon. I think the only way Karen O could have shocked them is if he reached into her pants and pulled out a penis. That would have been art, and that would have been trash. And to have it happen off Polk Street in the land of trannies and rough trade whores, that would have been a triumph. The staleness of the room made Justin go off the deep end. He was launching himself into people like a javelin. The people were disgusted with him. I woke up, perhaps my only moment of clarity for a long time, and plunged into the backs of the front row, breaking down an innocent line of scenesters like it was a rugby match. I pummeled into Justin, and the audacity of it, I'm sure it gave him a hard-on. One thing was for sure, you weren't supposed to stand to this music, you were supposed to move. Well, we left before it was over. The last I saw, Justin was inching up Polk Street alone, his head down, focusing on his feet, as he tried to climb back through the filth of it all back to his apartment. Gavin's girlfriend tugged at my arm and said we're going to a bar close by. Gavin would meet us there. I took one drink and I was out like a snapped fuse. I woke mid-conversation with Gavin as he was dropping me off in an apartment. He parked his truck with the hazards on, carried me to the front gate. I'd been poisoned by hubris, so I thought I could drink an ocean. He slapped me around a bit, but in a kind way. He held me up and then let me go to see if I could stand up on my own. I was standing above, looking down at him. He smiled and said, "Did you have a good time tonight?" I threw up all over his face and his jacket. Came out like a burst pipe, ferocious and quick, overwhelming and unbelievable. I laughed and then apologized profusely, but inside I was happy. I pushed out the poison to the letdown. I couldn't figure out if it was the crowd or the band that had double-crossed me. I gave Gavin a pat on the shoulder, told him to wash up, then clear-headed as ever, I opened my door and walked up those stairs. Got a glass of water, sat down on my couch. Put on that first Yeah Yeah Yeahs EP, and I agreed with myself. All sides of my splintered personality, that is a pretty damn good rock album. Thank you.